Guess what? Here's a simple little trick. If you want to live a lot cheaper in Belize, you want to have a much cheaper grocery bill and a much lower fuel bill, just eliminate the government. Simple as that. Just have less government, it would cost less. Do you know that a year ago, when fuel prices were $12.50 to $12.80 bouncing back and forth, that's what you were paying at the pump? Guess what? Some companies in Belize get duty-free fuel and tax-exempt fuel. You know what the price was for fuel at that time? $6.25 a gallon for diesel, $6.15 a gallon for regular gas. At the pump, you were paying $11 a gallon for diesel. These companies are paying $6.25 for diesel per gallon. You were paying $12.50 at the pump for regular. These companies are paying $6.15. Literally, 65% of the cost of fuel in Belize has to do with government taxes and duties. Now granted, I understand we do have to charge some taxes and duties on fuel because vehicles, the more fuel you use, the more mileage there is, the more the roads get worn out, right? So obviously it makes sense that fuel has to have a tax because that tax is being charged to the vehicles who are wrecking the roads, and we have to collect some money for repairing the roads. However, do you know what the largest employer in Belize by far is? The government of Belize. I believe last time I checked, and I did this research online, more than half of the workforce in Belize is employed by the government. And unfortunately, I'm thankful for a lot of the government workers that are out there. For example, police officers and lawyers and judges. These are very important things because the government, every government in the world has three responsibilities. One, to ensure safety for all its citizens, which is the police force. Number two, ensure the completeness of the border. And third, to prosecute criminals. To defend the innocent and to prosecute the guilty. That is the only three obligations that every government on the planet has. And if they cannot fulfill those three obligations, they have no right in collecting taxes. Anything outside of those three things is luxury, is add-on, and is almost certainly infringing on your human rights and on your ability to make a good living. So, the simple fact of the matter is, in Belize, the number one factor to why your grocery bill is so high, to why your fuel bill is so high, is because of the taxes that are being levied onto everything. And unfortunately, in Belize, we have too many NGOs that are putting in the US, they have a different name for them. They call them lobby groups. In Belize, we call them NGOs. But it comes down to the same thing. They come to Belize to put in all kinds of laws in this country that their country doesn't even have, or that their country didn't have for 250 years. For example, the US, the United States of America, was able to do everything and anything they wanted to for 200 years until they became one of the most powerful, or the most powerful nation on earth. And now they have slowly begun putting in place emission laws and social security laws and health and safety laws on the job site and building codes for houses and all kinds of stuff that makes the country better. But for 200 and almost 50 years, they didn't have these laws. Well, for 200 years probably. And that's why they were able to prosper so much, because they didn't have emission laws, all this stuff. But then you have a young country like Belize, barely, not even 40 years old yet. And now we want to have all the same laws in Belize that they have in the United States after 200 years. And then we have half the income that the Americans have, less than that, and yet we still want to have all the same laws. And so now you're wasting an incredible amount of employees, of people that could be productive in the productive society and the industry, building stuff and building new roads and construction and all kinds of stuff, running their own businesses. Instead, they're all employed by the government, making new laws every day, new regulations that hinder the general public that is working to produce something of value for the nation. So I'm not criticizing government employees here, and that's not my point. My point is, Belize has far too many laws for the size of our economy, and then we have far too many people busy and occupied enforcing these laws instead of busy growing this country. So, you want your prices to go down at the pump? The key is to eliminate the taxes and the duty of that fuel. You want your grocery bills to go down? The key is to eliminate government, jobs, and regulation. Simple as that. You want to live cheaper? You want to live happier in Belize? Get rid of some of these government departments. Look at what happened in Argentina. Argentina had not had a positive year. They had had a deficit every single year since the 1970s. They brought in a new government and a new president. He slashed tons of government departments, and guess what? For the first time since the 1970s, they have a surplus in their government, in their yearly income. We've seen it in other countries. Salvador, same thing. You put away the criminals, you get rid of some of those bloated government organizations and programs, all of a sudden the country prospers. Have a blessed day. God be with you. Thank you for listening.